Hi and hello, it's your old pal Woody Cincy, and welcome once again to the Cover 2 podcast. I'm your host, of course. A lot of people wondering if we were going to do this. We are transitioning so that we can put these on YouTube. So what we have today is a special AFC draft preview. So what we're going to do is look at all the draft needs. Obviously, Brent made these type-ups, and he's the one who should be given credit for this. So let's get started with the AFC draft preview. All right, let's get started with the AFC West, and we'll start off with the Denver Broncos. Didn't have the finish that Jim Dog wanted to have, but definitely they have some needs that they can get. This defense is definitely there. The only additions they probably need on the defensive side is a defensive tackle. On the offensive side, probably add some offensive linemen. They could do that in the second or third rounds, but their primary first picks got to be to get the quarterback. It looks like, you get somebody to replace Peyton Manning, and that team can go back to the Super Bowl. For the Kansas City Chiefs, their top needs look like they need wide receiver, offensive line, middle linebacker, and cornerback. Brian obviously came in there, picked up the pace of play, beating Boone into the ground, but they definitely could use another corner. They could definitely use a middle linebacker and offensive lineman. We're going to go on to the Oakland Raiders. Obviously, this team fought to the end, almost got to the playoffs, just lost that game in the end to Boone, so he didn't make it. But their top needs look like they need a middle linebacker, a right outside linebacker, and a tight end. This roster, in my opinion, has to be one of the most complete rosters in the game. Outside of linebacker and tight end positions, they have the above average talent to great talent at every position. They have that quarterback, but it looks like he might be on the trade block. But neither here nor there, definitely the Oakland Raiders look like they're there. And then we talk about the San Diego Chargers. They need everything. Coach Boone needs help. He likes starting off with crappy teams. He likes taking them all the way to the playoffs. Obviously, he did a great job just suffering a loss to the Buffalo Bills, but he definitely looks like they could upgrade at every single position. So the good thing about the draft if you're a San Diego Chargers fan is literally they can just take the best available position. Boone is even talking about the fact that he wants to lock down his quarterback, but he's on a 1 year, so if he loses Thompson or Thomas or whatever his name is, the MVP, if he loses him now in the free agency, look for Boone to maybe draft a quarterback. So that is all we have for the AFC West. Thank you for listening, and we're going to move on in the AFC. All right, we're going to be talking about the AFC South, and we're going to start off with the Houston Texans. So their top needs, cornerback, offensive line, quarterback, and safety. Definitely had a pretty good season, posting 11-4, secure their first-round bye, and then taking on his dad, Jim, and losing in that game. Obviously a disappointing ending to a season, but definitely have a lot of things to look forward to. If they can get that lockdown corner, if they can get that offensive line, if they can get the quarterback that they want to build around and a safety, this team could be the Super Bowl champions next year. All right, now we're going to look at the Indianapolis Colts, the Sean's team. He definitely needs a wide receiver. He definitely needs offensive linemen. But overall, his biggest need is defense. He needs to get lots of free agents and lots of drafts. So the good thing about if you're in Indianapolis Colts, you can just jump in there and get those players. So look for them to add that. The Jacksonville Jaguars need offensive line, middle linebacker, defensive tackle, and outside linebackers. Look for this team to also maybe move quarterbacks, as Blake Bortles with his picks definitely was talked about getting benched a couple times during the year, and even talked about making a huge trade just to shake things up. But if Bortles can fix that, or he can find a quarterback of the future, the Jacksonville Jaguars, Nick, who's on staff, is definitely going to be one of those contenders. And then finally, we finish off with Dan the Man and his Tennessee Titans. What does Tennessee have? They have money. And they also have a young, talented team. So what do they need? They need a cornerback. They need offensive line, wide receiver, and defensive tackle. If you're noticing a theme for the AFC South and pretty much the entire league is everybody wants to get that top corner in the draft. So look for corners to go fast this year. All right. Thank you so much for listening to the AFC South. All right, we're heading over to the AFC North Division. So the Cleveland Browns, and they're under new ownership at the end of this year. So look for Andrew to add a fast quarterback, hopefully with the big arm. Definitely probably getting rid of RG3. Look for him to add a wide receiver and a halfback. Overall, he definitely has a lot of cap room, so his draft might be based off of who he can actually get. Let's head on to the Cincinnati Bengals. And since Brent did all of this work. I'm going to read his word for word. So his top team needs are wide receiver, right tackle, and cornerback. Cincinnati may have not put their best foot forward this season, but at the end of the day, they have a lot of good pieces in place. They have plenty of stars on both sides of the ball, and they just need to shore up their role players. With picks near the middle of the draft, the role players shouldn't be hard to find. The Bengals should enter this draft with the best player available mode. Do not seek out a single position that could end up a dud. With A.J. Green and Tyler Eifert in place, they have more than enough red zone threats, but still lack that speed wide receiver that takes the top off the defenses. In this league where everybody seems to be heavy on the press coverage, we can cover that up with some deep threats. So find the best player available and get that needs. We head over to the Baltimore Ravens, who is brand new owner. He just needs to get offensive line and defensive line. Obviously, his quarterback's been to a Super Bowl and won a Super Bowl, so at the end of the day, if they want that first round bye, that's what they'll need to add. And we finish off with Jim's Pittsburgh Steelers, who upset his son in a major playoff game, getting over there and then losing to the Ravens in the playoffs, so he doesn't have a chance to go to the Super Bowl this year. Look for Jim to add corner. I can just tell you this right now, that'll be his picks. He likes corners. He likes fast defensive ends. So look for him to add either that in the free agency or in the draft. The Pittsburgh Steelers also need defensive tackles. They also need middle linebackers. But Jim loves to get corners. It's his primary need. That'll be the primary target that he gets. So that's all we have for the AFC North. Thank you for joining me. Hi, welcome. This is our last AFC preview, the AFC East. We're going to be going through these top 4 teams real quick for you. So let's start off with the Buffalo Bills. Andrew, obviously being the GM, has brought them all the way on the verge of contending for a Super Bowl. So definitely look for them to make some additions in the offseason. They'll definitely probably have a new owner as Andrew has taken the job of going to the Cleveland Browns. Said he wasn't about money, but they offered him a contract that has never been seen before. So look for the Buffalo Bills to add cornerback, safety, offensive line, and a quarterback. Andrew does great work with the quarterback there, but when he is no longer the owner, they will definitely be picking up a new one. All right, heading on to Miami Dolphins. Hard to believe that this team was one of the top teams picked in most franchises. They have lost so much with Mike Wallace, Oliver Vernon, Brent Grimes, Lamar Miller, all the free agency, and they have plenty of holes. So look for them to add a cornerback, linebacker, offensive line, free safety, and playmakers. With the New England Patriots, they need a wide receiver. One of those guys who can just go up there and make big plays for them. Look for them to add offensive line. They need another defensive end after they traded to the Cardinals, and they need an outside linebacker. So look for those teams' needs. In New York, we have David, who most people call David versus Goliath because he made so many big upsets this year. Look for David to add, and we're talking about the Jets if you didn't know who David was. David's the owner of the Jets. Look for them to add linebacker, wide receiver, offensive line, and free safety. The Jets have a solid defense. They just need to add a couple of key pieces, playmakers, and this team could be on the verge of being a Super Bowl contender. So that is the AFC. That is all we're going to be talking about today with this draft preview. We hope you enjoyed the podcast. Obviously, we're adding the images so we can go on YouTube. We hope you guys enjoyed the show. Hopefully, you kind of like this new template. We're going to have one more of these with the NFC draft preview, and then hopefully we can do some, an actual draft grade picks, and then we will start again in week 1 talking about who our predictions are each and every single week. So that's all the time we have for you today. Thank you so much for joining me. Goodbye.